Americans will choose the next president tomorrow, but can the country come together after such a contentious election?
CBS News contributor and Republican pollster Frank Luntz assembled a focus group for 60 minutes. A conversation got heated. Here's a look at what happened.
How did we get here?
Because we need positive
one at a
things to talk
time.
about.
No more talking over each
Bernie was cheated out
other.
the election, that's how.
He was not cheated out of the election.
He was cheated.
How did we get here?
It's our fault. You saw it here. Everybody's arguing. I'm afraid to even bring up a point. I'm not pro-Trump, but I see why people like him. And, if I say that, I'm going to be, ostracized.
My biggest fear is that these candidates aren't a mistake, that the American people have elected the future of America, what we aspire to be and what we are deep down inside. I think Trump has gotten so much traction at this point because deep down inside, there are a lot of Americans that feel the exact same way as him.
Deep down, our country is divided. I'm sorry. We're not united. We are at each other's throats. And I'm sorry, maybe this is what it is. Maybe this is the candidates that we want.
I want to listen to them. I want to ask them questions and then sit back and let it all roll over me. And the problem is, people become so angry and they become so vicious.
Is this new? You've been doing this a long time.
It's never been like this. Look, I did this for you 18 years ago. We were talking about the impeachment of a president, and each person spoke their turn. No one talked over each other. Nobody yelled at each other.
Black people are actually killing more black people than...
Oh, my God! Do not do that!
I'm sorry.
Obviously, black people are going to be... But it doesn't matter.
Today, there's none of that.
So if they disagree with you, their opinion shouldn't matter.
I didn't say it didn't matter. I didn't say they shouldn't have, even have a right to say
people
anything.
who support Donald Trump shouldn't talk so much.
I didn't say that they don't have the right to.
Everybody's opinion needs to be heard.
It took 2 minutes for them to explode. It took 5 minutes to actually get to the point where I lost control.
And guess what happened with Clinton? Right. No. But that's not, you know that. $1 billion tax bill. I might misunderstand the context, but that's not what you said.
Stop.
One way to look at all this is, okay, people are upset and they're just blowing off steam.
That was not blowing off steam. That got way too personal. They got way too strong with each other. And this is now my craft. This is what I've done for over 2 decades. That's not blowing off steam. That is a deep-seated resentment. Is this America? Are you, look around, are you America? Yes or no?
Yes.
We don't know how to listen to each other.
Nobody will listen to anything
Can I say one
anybody
thing?
has to say.
We don't know how to listen to each other.
No.
We go on Facebook all day and we just blast out messages into the ether. But we don't actually take time to see what comes back.
Look at how social media is. I mean, there's so much ugly stuff that we say to each other on social media where we attack each other, we attack each other's views, we attack each other's, heritage.
What's happened in American culture? Why is there this lack of civility? Some people talked about, a lot of people mention social media.
It is social media, but the first question is, are you going to edit this, or are you going to play the words they actually used? There were people in that focus group who used language that if my mom was still alive and I said it, she would literally cut me out of the will. There's no self-censoring, so we now say exactly what we feel, and God damn it, you're going to listen to me. And that's really what it is right now. You're going to listen to me. I'm not going to learn from you. You're going to listen to me. It's election night, and I'm the losing candidate. What do you want me to say?
I accept the results and to walk away and help the country move forward in the right direction.
You lean towards Trump. You've said so many times.
Yes, sir.
Do you want Trump to say that the system isn't rigged?
I want him, that's correct. It's not rigged. These are the results. Get behind the new person in charge.
What do you want the loser to say to the winner on election night?
I know this has been a long campaign, but at the end of the day, these are the results. And we've thrown a lot of mud over the last year and some change. But it's time for us to move on and become better and learn from this process.
CBS News contributor and Republican strategist Frank Luntz has been talking to voters throughout this campaign, and he joins us now from Raleigh, North Carolina. Frank, I found your 60 Minutes focus group fascinating. Some of the vitriol. Is there any hope in your estimation? Will we be able to come together after this election?
Well, it's going to depend on what happens tomorrow night, and I'm going to be listening to both candidates, the winner and the loser. We're going to need a conciliatory speech that shows genuine respect for the political process, and we're going to need the winner to reach out in an authentic way to address the issues that the American people have not been listening to in this campaign so far: Social Security, education, immigration. It's more than platitudes. They wanted specifics. They didn't get it. They got debates that were among the most vicious that we've ever had in American politics. And it's the reason why so many Americans dislike both candidates and just want this whole thing over.
We know both candidates will deliver one final closing message to the nation Monday night. We're going to play a little bit of those sound bites to you, and I want to get your reaction, Frank. First Clinton, which will play tonight in primetime, and then Trump.
I think we can all agree it's been a long campaign. But tomorrow, you get to pick our next president. So here are a few things that I hope you'll think about. First, it's not just my name and my opponent's name on the ballot. It's the kind of country we want for our children and grandchildren. Is America dark and divisive, or hopeful and inclusive? Our core values are being tested in this election. But everywhere I go, people are refusing to be defined by fear and division. Look, we all know we've come through some hard economic times, and we've seen some pretty big changes. But I believe in our people. I love this country. And I'm convinced our best days are still ahead of us if we reach for them together.
The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you.
So, Frank, who did it best?
Well, actually, they both did it incredibly well. I want to compliment the Clinton team in opening up and enumerating that first point, in offering that sense of hope and speaking to a more positive approach for the country. And I want to compliment the Trump team for describing in incredibly accurate detail what makes America so angry and so frustrated. In any other election, Hillary Clinton's message would be preferred because we want to vote for a better future. We want to vote for the more positive candidate. The messages of Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton do better than the messages of, say, Jimmy Carter and John Kerry. But this is a different election, and this is a different mood. And it's one of the reasons why any other campaign, Donald Trump would have been destroyed, but not this time. And by the way, his people are arriving right now. What makes this different is that we feel betrayed. We feel like Washington doesn't care about us. We feel so put upon by the establishment. And so Trump's message resonates with those who have been so economically challenged over the last 4 or 8 years. So I'm not going to give the victory to any of those. I thought both of those ads are brilliant closing ads for the campaigns that they are representing.
Frank, a New York Times report Sunday said Trump has surrendered his Twitter account to his campaign staff. We've definitely seen a more restrained Donald Trump on the campaign trail, more on teleprompter. In the early days, especially during the primary, he mocked the others who used teleprompters, including Hillary Clinton. He's been on prompter pretty much the entire time, the last several months. Does this help him stay on message, or does it muzzle the message that many of his voters like to hear?
Well, you're not going to win by just winning your base. You've got to transfer that to independents, moderates, people in the center. And Donald Trump was his own worst enemy so often in this campaign. He would deliver a very strong speech, but then have one line, one criticism of someone where he stepped over that line. And the problem with Trump basically is that he had no discipline. He's had considerable discipline. He hasn't made the same mistakes over the last 2 weeks that he had made before in this campaign. And at the very moment that Trump is going on the teleprompters, the moment that Hillary Clinton is coming off, which was a smart decision for her because it allows her to be more authentic, to connect more with voters, because that was the single biggest criticism of her, is that people couldn't relate to her. Still, last night in my focus group, the line that I'll never forget, it's the liar versus the lunatic. Who do you vote for? In these last 24 hours, both candidates are trying to shed those images and basically remind the American people that one of them represents fundamental change, the other one represents an incredible broad array of experience, and you have to decide which individual is better for you and better for America.
Frank, one of these candidates is going to have to deliver a concession speech. Many of us are hoping on election night that this will bring an end to it. What do they need to do to help bring the country together, whoever ends up losing? What needs to be said in that speech?
The key thing in a concession speech is to be contrite, is to show respect for the winner, to ask your supporters to support that individual and to help bring the country together. And there's always booze in the room because nobody wants to concede. But in the end, and particularly in this election, that concession speech needs to have 3 points. Number one, a focus on America is stronger when working together, which is Hillary Clinton's line. Number two, that we still have to fight for change, that the people in that room and the people who supported the losing candidate weren't wrong. They just weren't a majority. And number three, that you can get things done in this country, that you can actually accomplish more by working together than by working separately. I think it has to be powerful, emotional, but it's got to have those 3 components in it.
CBS News contributor and Republican strategist Frank Luntz, we thank you, Frank.
Thank you.